Newsfirst at 9. Headlines.
Well, a very good evening to you. Welcome to Weekend Primetime News. Come to Live on MTV Sports and Shakti TV. I'm Shah Rangpati, and these are your headlines. Search intensifies for missing Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. Asian cricket champions return to the island. New Delkanda Market Complex declared open. Wildlife officer accused of transporting marijuana remanded. Schoolboy in Gampa shot and killed by armed robbers. Well, those are tonight's headlines. We now cross over to the main desk for these stories in detail.
Mama අවුරුදු දෙකක් ඉගෙනුවා ඉන්දියන් එක්සෑම් කරුවා මේ සැරේ තබ්ලා වලින්.
The anguish of a teacher. You just witnessed the lament of a guru whose prized student was plucked away from this world. Well, we have more on that story coming up later on in the bulletin. Good evening and welcome to Primetime Weekend News. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. First, a look at a fast-developing story that has gripped the entire world. A huge search is underway for the missing Malaysia Airlines plane flight MH370. Interpol, meanwhile, has confirmed that stolen passports used by two of the passengers on the plane were in their database and that the passports of other passengers are being probed. But families must continue with their agonizing wait for answers. Newsfirst Shah Rangpati joins us now with a comprehensive report on flight MH370.
In a significant development, radar signals show a Malaysia Airlines plane that has been missing for more than 36 hours may have turned back to Kuala Lumpur before disappearing. Rescue teams looking for the plane have now widened their search area. Flight MH370 from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing disappeared south of Vietnam with 239 souls on board. Air and sea rescue teams have been searching an area of the South China Sea south of Vietnam for more than 36 hours. But Malaysian aviation authorities told a press conference in Kuala Lumpur the search area had been expanded to include the west coast of Malaysia.
We look back at the recording and there is an indication, possible indication that the aircraft made a turn back. And this is, collaborated at the moment. As we speak, we are trying to make sense of this, and in some part collaborated by civil radar, but we are still looking for areas from our international agencies. One of the possibility of turn back is coming back to KLIA.
Investigators are also checking CCTV footage of two passengers who are believed to have boarded the plane using stolen passports.
There are only two passengers on record that have flown on this aircraft that has false passport, and we have the CCTV's recording of those passengers from check-in right to the departure point.
Authorities now say that it is not clear if the aircraft crashed or was in fact hijacked. What is the public mood like in Malaysia? Newsfirst Bureau correspondent Chalukya Wirakon joins us now from Kuala Lumpur.
The news is general public here in Malaysia, and families are expectantly awaiting news. While some are still holding out to a miracle, most families have resigned themselves to the fact that their loved ones are gone. Distraught relatives and loved ones of those on board are being given assistance at both arrival and departure airports. Many have expressed their frustrations over the lack of information. The passengers on the flight were of 14 different nationalities. 2/3 were from China, while others were from elsewhere in Asia, North America and Europe. I'm Chalukya Wirakon for Newsfirst, reporting from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
As hope of finding anyone alive and the aircraft itself begins to fade, Malaysian Airlines has informed the relatives of passengers on board flight MH370 to prepare for the worst.
We have communicated to the family members that after more than 30 hours without any contact with the aircraft, we believe that the family members should prepare themselves for the worst.
As the wording of information coming from the authorities begins to take on a more and more ominous tone, families and friends of missing passengers have turned to faith and prayer. Buddhist, Hindu and Muslim faith leaders gathered at Kuala Lumpur International Airport today to pray for those on board flight MH370. They were joined by volunteers from a temple, airport security staff and civilians. More families of missing passengers arrived in Beijing today as well. Chinese relatives of passengers on flight MH370 have been gathered at a hotel near Beijing airport, put in a room and told to wait for information from the airline. Malaysia Airlines said at least 152 of the 227 passengers on the flight were Chinese. Incidentally, this is not the first time that a commercial jet has disappeared in this fashion. On June 1st, 2009, Air France Flight 447 was en route from Rio de Janeiro to Paris' Charles de Gaulle International Airport when communications ended suddenly from the Airbus A330, another state-of-the-art aircraft. Now, it took 4 searchers over the course of nearly 2 years to locate the bulk of Flight 447's wreckage and the majority of the 228 bodies in a mountain range deep under the ocean. Now, it took even longer to find the cause of the disaster. In May 2011, the aircraft's voice recorder and flight data recorder were recovered from the ocean floor after an extensive search using miniature submersible vehicles. It was not until July 2012 that investigators published their report, which blamed the crash on a series of errors by the pilots and a failure to react effectively to technical problems. Is it the same fate that awaits flight MH370, or will evidence prove otherwise? Newsfirst is on top of the story.
195 kilograms of marijuana was seized during a raid conducted by the Police Special Task Force at dawn today in the Galge area of Zone 3 in Yala. The police STF said that they seized a stock of marijuana which had been prepared for sale and arrested 2 suspects who were subsequently remanded. One of the suspects is a reserve ranger.
The raid was initiated following a tip-off received by the police STF that a large stock of marijuana was being prepared for transportation at a marijuana cultivation about 18 kilometers from the Galge entrance to Yala.
They had attempted to flee and our personnel gave chase. Once they were caught and brought back, they discovered 5 sacks of marijuana that had been loaded into a canter. The person in the vehicle said it was purchased for 200,000 rupees. When we checked later, we discovered 200,000 rupees in the bag belonging to the reserve ranger. And there was also another parcel of marijuana which weighed about 2 kilograms. When interrogated, he revealed that there were another 5 sacks of marijuana which had been stored behind the reserve office. Altogether, we found 195 kilograms of marijuana.
The commanding officer said that further investigations uncovered a 5-acre marijuana cultivation. He noted that it had been harvested completely several days prior. We inquired from the commanding officer of the STF as to whether any security forces personnel had been involved in the planning or transportation of the marijuana.
A three-wheeler had come here prior to this and taken away several sacks of marijuana. There was a story that security forces personnel had come here to take the marijuana. This is being said by other factions and it is not clear.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that persons who criticize development in the country too are enjoying the benefits of development. The president made this statement at a public rally held at the sports ground of Kothalawala Mahavidyalaya yesterday.
The public rally was held following the opening of the first phase of the Colombo Outer Ring Road from Kottawa to Kadiwala.
අපි බොහොම දුරදිග බලලා තමයි මේ හැම සංවර්ධනයක්ම ගැනම අපි කටයුතු කරන්නේ.
We think in the long term when it comes to every development project. This is a development program that will unify the nation. This is not a development program that will divide the people of the north and the south. This is for everyone. There is no discrimination whether it is rural or urban, upcountry or low country. When we build a port, they say there are no ships. They cannot see ships. They rant away. When the airport was built, they said there were no cargo planes coming there. They rant away in this fashion. You know the benefits we are reaping from this. You know the benefit we are reaping from the Colombo-Kattunayake Expressway. I think about 2.1 million have already travelled on that. We have received about 600 million. 9 million vehicles have travelled on the Southern Expressway. Thereby, the people of this country are not prepared to abandon this development program midway.
මේ සංවර්ධන වැඩපිළිවෙල අතරමඟ නතර කරන්න මේ රටේ ජනතාව සූදානම් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
Meanwhile, President Mahinda Rajapaksa declared open the Gongaravilla Delkanda Market and Auditorium Complex today. The complex was constructed as per modern architectural design of the Urban Development Authority with the guidance of Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa. The market comprises of all modern facilities and consists of 208 permanent stalls. A sum of 132 million rupees has been spent on this project.
A rally of the Democratic Party was held in Maligavatta today.
The rally was organized under the auspices of the leader of the Democratic Party, Sarath Fonseca. We firmly believe that everyone, no matter what their religion is, should have the same rights, especially in this time of... They are attempting to create some kind of political alliance by creating hostility amongst people of different caste, creed and religion. I have never accepted politics that are based on caste or religion. Harmony is paramount and the only way to develop this country is through this. You know, there were several groups of people in the recent past trying to create problems in the country. Even then, I did not accept that.
The people in central Colombo are facing a great number of problems. I have seen it since a long time ago. And because I have seen it with my own eyes, I can speak about it openly and without fear. I visited so many houses in the recent past, and that is what those people told me also. Therefore, I am not afraid to speak of central Colombo even now. I know that all of you are facing a great number of problems that are hard to bear.
These people lied to you for 20 years. Now they say they have nothing to say. But what did they not say? They lied as much as they possibly could. And now because they have nothing to say, they are telling us that they will be hung in Geneva on the 28th of this month. That they will be forced to sit in the electric chair. They say there is an electric chair and Madam Pillai is saying there is no such thing. After all of us candidates received our nominations, we visited our respective places of worship. I first visited a mosque and then I went to a temple. This was shown on TV and people called me to inquire why I visited a mosque at first. Friends, this is the finest example of equality and solidarity in the Democratic Party. If we can all cast race and religion aside and stand together, then that is where the victory of our country lies.
The UN Human Rights Council session in Geneva has become a hot topic on the campaign stage ahead of the provincial council elections. Let's take a look at some of the views expressed on the matter.
These politicians are molesting children and raping women with impunity, but the law is not being enforced against them. That is the situation in the country. If allegations of war crimes are being levelled against our army, then I am ready to take the responsibility on behalf of our war heroes. I am always ready.
Today, allegations of war crimes are being brought against the leader who stood straight and said that he would unite his country. They are trying to take the leader who cannot be defeated to a military tribunal. Although what they say happened in the last 3 days of the war is not true, they are trying to make it the truth. That is what they are trying to do in Geneva on the 28th of March.
A certain individual connected to the government, a smuggler of spirits, is saying that at this moment when people are trying to take the president to the electric chair, the people of the Hambantota district must please vote for the alliance. In the past, this individual took money from the LTTE and attempted to plot the assassination of a president. Even the smallest child knows this. The defense forces too know this. Intelligence units too are aware of this. Even the defense secretary knows this. That is the true story. Therefore, before you trumpet about efforts to take the president to the electric chair, go before a mirror, study your reflection carefully and choose your words and statements with caution.
There is an election on the 28th as well. We have been made to face elections that are not in our agenda. Those in the opposition say that it is not a major election. They say that the government will have a problem, but not the country. Fonseca's, the Sanayakas, Rudra Kumarans are doing the same thing separately.
There is a man here who can earn money instantly. Who is he? It is I. I can give one telephone call to and tell him that I am crossing over. Do you think I will not get it? All I have to do is hold a media briefing tomorrow, say that the JVP is wrong and that I am crossing over to strangle the people, and then the money will come. Our party does not have the sort of political movement that breeds people like that. We do not take you back in. We sent off Veerawansa too, and he will not be let back in.
UNP Colombo district candidate S.M. Marikar continued his campaigning in Mount Lavinia today. There he participated in a rally down Temple Road.
Now they're trying to reclaim 233 hectares of land around the golf face. Out of the 233, only 125 belong to Sri Lanka. 88 of it belongs to China for the next 99 years. The remaining 20 will belong to China forever. This is how patriots betray Sri Lanka by creating Chinese colonies. This is a contract worth millions of dollars, and they are giving this over to a company that was rejected by the World Bank. Therefore, I request from all of you to refrain from casting a vote to those who pretend they are patriots. S.M. Marikar also engaged in a cordial discussion with the youth at a sports ground in Attidiya Dehiwala.
Up next is Crime Watch.
Armed robbers who broke into a shop in Askirival, Pulamgampa have shot and killed a 19-year-old boy. The police media unit said the shooting occurred at about 8:40 last night. The shop owner, who was away at the time, said the robbers had assaulted his wife with a firearm. He adds that his son, who has heard his mother's cries and had come to the shop, was shot by the robbers.
When she shouted, my wife was hit with a pistol. Her head was wounded, and when she screamed, they had attempted to flee. My son was eating his dinner at the time. He heard the noise and ran to see what had happened. He saw the blood on his mother. She grabbed him and told him not to chase after them, but he had given chase. As soon as he alighted from the shop, they had shot him, maybe because he kept coming after them.
The police say that the wife of the shop owner was admitted to the Gampa hospital and that 19-year-old Nipunan Ranga, who was shot and wounded, was pronounced dead on arrival at the Gampa hospital. An advanced level student at the Jnanodaya National School in Divalapitiya, Nipun was a music student and an accomplished tabla player.
I have never seen a child who could play the tabla like he did. I taught him for 2 years. He sat for the Indian examinations for the tabla.
The group of armed robbers are yet to be identified. Another murder occurred inside this residence in Pelanvatta, Pannipitiya last night. A 34-year-old man was killed when he was attacked by a 62-year-old father with a knife. The police say that the son had come home drunk and had then fought with the father, who had produced a knife. The police say that the deceased was living at this house with his father and wife. The acting magistrate in Kasbava inspected the crime scene this morning. The police say that the body of the deceased is lying at the mortuary of the Homagam hospital and that the father has been arrested.
Just coming in from foreign media, possible debris from vanished Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 was found in the seas of Vietnam today. I repeat, possible debris from vanished Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 was found in the seas of Vietnam today. We will try to give you more information on this latest development later on in the bulletin. Moving on to sports news now. The Asia Cup champions return to the island today.
At the finals of the 2014 Asia Cup held in Mirpur, Bangladesh, defending champions Pakistan set Sri Lanka a target of 261 for victory and the coveted title of champions of Asian cricket. Sri Lanka reached the target with 22 balls to spare, losing only 5 wickets.
This 2014 title.
The victorious Sri Lanka cricket team returned to Sri Lanka today at the Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake. A 5-time Asian champion, Sri Lanka last won the Asia Cup in 2008. With yesterday's victory, Sri Lanka now equal India in terms of the most number of Asia Cup titles.
We played well as a team. As the captain, I'm very happy. Everyone in the team is happy about bringing the Asia Cup to Sri Lanka. We played very well and I am thankful to everyone who supported us.
A special event was organized in the Palagoda town to welcome the victorious team. The team then arrived at Sri Lanka cricket in a vehicular procession.
Danushka Nuwan Kumara, who represented the Dehiwala Mount Lavinia Municipal Council, obtained the first place in the Nilwala Express cycling race, which was organized before the opening of the section from Gaul to Mathura on the Southern Expressway. Sirasa TV, Sports First and Newsfirst were the media sponsors for the event.
The total distance of the race was 150 kilometers. The cycling race, which was held under the supervision of the Sri Lanka Cycling Federation, commenced from the Imadua entry point of the Southern Expressway. Sirasa TV, Sports First and News First telecast information on the cycling race since this morning via live digital technology. Specialist commentator and national cycling personality B.S. Sumanasekara was the commentator for the race today.
Areas like Imadua, which were abandoned, are fast developing into cities. If you take this exit, you can see that the pathways which were impossible to travel on have become carpeted roads. We are thankful to Sirasa for coming forward to educate the people on the development activities of this nature. It is for the very first and for the last time that our competitors are taking part in a cycle race that is held on the expressway.
මෙවන් සංවර්ධන කටයුතු පිළිබඳව සෙසු ජනතාව දැනුවත් කිරීම සඳහා කරන කාර්යභාරය පිළිබඳ මේ මාර්ගය හරහා අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා.
We believe that through this road there will be a transformation in the manner in which our children think, the social processes and our attitudes will be changed. We are thankful to the Sirasa Media Network for taking part in this venture without any conditions.
මේ දක්ෂිණ දේශයේ රෝහණ පුරවරේ ජනතාවත් සමග අතිනත් ගැනීම පිළිබඳව මම හිතන්නේ ඔබේ මාධ්‍ය ආයතනයේ ක්‍රීඩා වෙනුවෙන් සුවිශාල.
I believe that your media institution renders a great service for sports. Therefore, you have come forward at all instances to support sport. You do not think of monetary gain. I must say that Sirasa has always stood for sport.
The cycling race that commenced from the Imadua area in Gaul arrived at Radampala via Tibotuava, Kamurupitiya, Makandura, Mulatiyana, Hakmana, Kirinda and Valakanda. Danushka Nuwan Kumar emerged as the champion after a keenly contested race. It was Nishanta Pereira, who represented the Dehiwala Mount Lavinia Municipal Council, that won second place. Nuwan Dulanta, who represented Sri Lanka Army, came third. Meanwhile, a tug of war event participated by ministers and provincial politicians also took place concurrent to the cycling race. One team was headed by Minister Dallas Allah Perma, while the other was headed by Minister Mahindananda Alut Gamage, and it was Minister Dallas Allah Perma's side that emerged victorious.
Taking a look at business news this evening, an award ceremony for business excellence for the year 2013 of the Northwestern Province was held in the Northwestern Provincial Council Auditorium. It was organized under the auspices of Minister of Economic Development, Basil Rajapaksa.
කර්ම
To start industry, I think you need to get permission from a company. There are some who call themselves industry development officials. However, I think they work towards its downfall and not its development. When we ask for a license, we only consider the details pertaining to the granting of the license. But many companies hinder the development of industries and close it down instead of developing them. I think the provincial councils should mediate and assist these industries to flourish and not to close down. These should be made into a license that does exactly that. Awards were distributed at this ceremony under 4 categories.
Newsfirst U reporters Upul Mahesh from Mampegama, Sampath Samira from Dompe and Janaka Sampath from Mudugama filed these reports.
This is a forced garment factory which is located in the area coming under the purview of the Baddegama Pradesh Sabha. It has been 14 years since this factory was closed down. While the building and machinery here is falling into ruin, thieves have already made off with some of the equipment. The people of Kirinavela, where this factory provided many jobs, request that it be reopened.
You reporter, Upul Mahesh, Dalampe.
An accident occurred at about 11:30 am today when 3 children crossing the road on a pedestrian crossing at the Galakona junction in Dompe were hit by a 3-wheeler. A girl who was critically injured in the accident was admitted to the Dompe hospital and then transferred to the National Hospital in Colombo.
Mama Newsfirst, you reporter, Sampath Samira, Dompe City.
What you can see here is a dangerous bridge located in Lulelamulla on the Payagala Rendepola road. A section of the bridge is broken and heavy vehicles cannot travel on this bridge. Area residents ask that the bridge be renovated as soon as possible.
Newsfirst, you reporter, Janaka Sampath, Mudugama City.
Superfighter is an initiative of Newsfirst, the MTV and MBC Media Network and MAS Holdings. Trials for aspiring boxers from the Nuwara and Badulla districts commenced in Bandarawala yesterday with the participation of more than 400 amateur boxers. A group of indigenous youth representing the indigenous community also participated in the trials for the first time. A training camp was held prior to the trials where boxers were selected under 4 weight classes for the finals of Superfighter. The trials were held in a boxing ring constructed to international standards. Sports equipment was presented to a school in the area parallel to the Superfighter trials. How many boxers from the Nuwara and Badulla districts will qualify to be among the final 100 contenders for the coveted title of Superfighter? Tune into Superfighter on Sirasa TV to find out.
Superfighter. The crisis surrounding Central Cricket contract is yet to be resolved. Tonight on Sports First investigative journalism segment, The Bitter Truth, we delve deep into the issue.
23 cricketers signed central contracts with Sri Lanka Cricket last year. However, 6 of these cricketers have not been granted central contracts this year. Issuing a communique, Sri Lanka Cricket noted that a decision had been made to reduce the number of central player contracts from 22 to 17. Nevertheless, although the deadline for signing central player contract renewals expired on the 28th of February, the 17 cricketers are yet to sign their contract renewals. The contracts have not been signed following a decision taken by SLC to cease payments made by the ICC to cricketers via SLC. As a result of the failure to make these payments, cricketers boycotted signing the contracts last year as well. This time around too, the national team has addressed a letter to the president of SLC requesting that they receive 20% of the guarantee and participation fee for the ICC World T20 that will be held in Bangladesh. The letter, which has been copied to the chairman of the National Selection Committee, has been signed by Test and ODI captain Angelo Matthews and T20 captain Dinesh Chandimal. Here is an extract from this letter. With regards to the image rights and marketing contract to be signed between the players and the ICC, the players have chosen to sign the contracts on the verbal promise on behalf of SLC delivered to us by the chairman of the National Selection Committee that there will be a percentage which will be agreed upon between the players and SLC of the guarantee and participation fee paid to the players of the final selected squad as compensation for the exploitation of the image rights by the ICC to promote the T20 World Cup 2014. End of extract. SLC Treasurer Nuski Mohammed confirmed that the cricketers had made a request that they receive a percentage of the guarantee and participation fee. When Sports First made inquiries, Mohammed said that the request had been brought to the attention of the SLC Executive Committee. The Treasurer added that considering the Sri Lanka cricket team's ranking in international cricket, a decision had been made to increase contract payments by 7% in comparison with last year. However, SLC Secretary Nishantha Ranatunga notes that payments to cricketers had reduced from 70% last year to 40%. What are the financial targets that have been achieved by SLC after failing to pay monies due to the cricketers? Given that SLC spent vast sums of money on building stadiums, whose sins are they trying to cover by being miserly with payments due to cricketers? When the cricketers who brought the Asian crown to the country are belittled and treated in this fashion, is it not an act of disrespect towards the entire nation? Open for debate.
On to some rugby news now. Navy SC beat Havelocks SC to clinch the Clifford Cup title played at the Racecourse Grounds in Colombo this evening. At Lemons, Havelocks were leading in front with 19 points to 3. However, league champions Navy SC came back strong in the second half to add another 24 points, while Havelocks were only able to score 3 points with a solitary penalty. The game went down to the final few minutes of the game as Navy stole the win off the hands of Havelocks with a converted try by Salia Handapangoda under the post at the 78th minute. The final score of the game was 27-22. And that's a wrap from the Newsfirst team for tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Good night.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.